So these are two games I'm going to smush together because I have similar things to say about them. But I decided to beat East 8 and 9.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
I remember you
Yeah.
saying you didn't like how East got more party based, right? Or something like that.
Right. So East 7 was a big shift for the series where prior to that, Adel fought by himself, right? It was always a solo venture with Adel. And with E7, they decided to add, multiple characters. And when I first played E7, I really liked it. But I feel like I've kind of soured on the game over the years because, I think I liked it so much at the time because it was a PSP game. And when you're out and about, you got nothing better to do, E7 feels like the best thing in the world because you're playing like this fun, fast-paced action RPG on the go. But then I played East Celceta, which has admittedly the exact same combat, but slightly tweaked, and I was miserable by the end of Celceta, which made me realize, okay, because I had beaten Celceta on the PC as opposed to it originally released on the Vita. I technically did play a good chunk of it on the Vita as well, but then I finished it on PC. But anyways, yeah, so I started to sour a bit on the party-based combat because I just don't think it's very good. It's super simplistic, and there's just not a lot to it. You can just you know how Tales does a good job of balancing the going back and forth between normal attacks and arts, because when you hit an enemy with a normal attack, you regenerate some TP, which then allows you to use more skills, right? Or more arts, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so the party-based East games are really bad about this because it's really easy to just generate tons of SP in order to use your skills. Another thing that Tales of does is that it makes it so that you are also incentivized to use different moves. So, in Tales of Symphonia, for example, you can't use Sword Rain and then Sword Rain Alpha. It won't let you. It forces you to use a different type of skill. And I think these limitations are actually part of the friction of what makes the combat interesting, right? Because now it's forcing you to think about it, and you're okay, in order to do a proper combo, right, you have to use, you have to do your normal 3 hits, then do Sword Rain, and then do Demon Beast Fang or whatever, right? You gotta use different types of attacks. The problem with East is that you can literally just spam skills. You don't even need to really use your normal attacks all that much. So the combat is just super mindless.
So, are you gonna say it's kind of like Star Ocean where you just spam skills all the time?
Yeah, it is like that. And unfortunately in East 8, this problem is not really resolved. It's pretty much as bad as it was in Celceta. I know a lot of people really like East 8 in particular, and I will say I did enjoy it more than Celceta because I thought that the map was fun to explore. You're stuck on a deserted island in East 8, and I liked exploring the island, and I did like getting all the different adventure gears that you get so that you can, now you can climb vines. So it had a bit of a Metroidvania aspect to it where, certain areas are locked out to you. And then you either you gain the resources or you gain the items that you needed to now you can explore more of the item and the island. And that stuff is fun. But the combat is still something that you're contending with for the majority of your experience. And it's just super dull. It's just really, really boring.
No boy.
So,
Yeah, because when you can spam your best attacks with reckless abandon, then there's just no engagement in that.
yeah, exactly. So even though East 8 is like a pretty beloved game from what I've seen, I ended up just being kind of towards it. Now, the funny thing is East 9, a lot of people that liked 8 didn't like 9 as much. And I actually ended up liking 9 a good deal more than 8.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, so I think I understand why people generally, because like I was talking before about the island exploration in 8, and that stuff is really good. But in East 9, you're mostly stuck in like one city. Like the scope is a lot narrower compared to East 8. And I guess I can understand why someone would be like, "Ah, man, this feels so small compared to East 8," but like I didn't see it that way. One of the things I was talking about before about like, oh, the Metroidvania aspect of 8 was enjoyable. They made it more enjoyable in 9 because now you can do stuff like run up on walls. Like, instead of just like, oh, now you have like a gauntlet that lets you climb vines. Now it's like, okay, now that you have another character who joined the party, they give you the ability to literally glide. So like there's like a verticality to the level design that makes exploration way more fun, in my opinion. Now, combat, I thought that the combat was a little bit better by virtue of at least like the first half or so of the game. SP is actually a lot harder to generate. So I was like, oh, okay. I had to think more about combat. And I was having a lot more fun. But unfortunately, towards the end of the game, it kind of devolves into the same sort of thing where it's like, okay, yeah, now we're just back to just easily generating SP and just spamming my best abilities again. But at the very least, there was at least like a good chunk of the game where I was forced to use normal attacks because you didn't generate SP so quickly. And another thing I really liked about 9 is, for one, it's actually a sequel. The East series is really weird about how it moves forward in the timeline. Like East 8 takes place like between like 3 and 4 and like I'm not even gonna pretend to know. I'm not even gonna pretend to know because like the timeline placement's all over the place. Like it doesn't make any sense, right? Like you would think it would just be linear, right? But no, like, you know, it's at first it's like, okay, 1, 2, 3, but then I think 4 takes place like before 3, and then it's like 5 and 6 and 7, and then 8 goes back again. It's a mess. It's a fucking mess.
It's very overly convoluted chronology.
But thankfully, 9 is actually the most recent game in the series.
Okay.
And I really like that aspect of it because like each game is supposed to be like 1 year in Adol's travels. So like Adol's actually like in his late 20s, which is cool, which is interesting, or late to mid 20s or whatever. And because it's the latest in the timeline, there's actually a ton of references to older games. I was so shocked. I was like, they're even referencing like East 5. I was like, we never even got that one. It was it was crazy. And there was like, I was more engaged in the story. I really liked the music. Like, I still prefer, like, if you were to ask me like what my favorite East games are, my favorites are still Oath and Felghana. That's my number 1. East 6 and East Origin. I think those are the best ones. You know, I don't think East 9 is as good as those games.
Okay.
But I do think East 9 is better than 7 and 8 and Celceta, for sure.
I will say, like, speaking of music, like, I never played those games, but I did hear the soundtrack on YouTube, and as per usual, Falcom is just, they never disappoint with their soundtracks. Like, that's something I have on repeat all the time.
The only East game that I played was the Zelda on the Vita, and I thought that was okay, but you know. Yeah, it's okay.
But yeah, East 9, pretty good.